Okay, so connecting with my previous lecture, in this lecture I'm just going to show you that how you will conduct testing hypothesis about difference between mean while using a t-test. So as I already discussed different cases that when you need to use a t-test and when you need to use a z-test. So in this lecture I am also going to once again show you that why we will use a t-test, what are the indicators. So when we find out those indicators, when we find out those conditions, then we will be able to use a t-test. But before going to that, as I already discussed the degree of freedom, the concept of degree of freedom in my previous lecture. So I hope that you understand the degree of freedom because we will use degree of freedom concept in this t-test. So the procedure of this testing hypothesis is more similar, just like the other z-test or the other test, but only the test statistic things is different. This statistic equation, this formulation is different. So in the case 3, population are unknown. Population mean population standard deviation. So this is standard deviation or variances of population are unknown. And n and n2, which are the sample sizes, which will be less than 30. And samples are independent. Okay, so these things are very important. You need to understand, and I already discussed in great detail what will be dependent and what will be independent. So when you get these conditions, it's mean that you will use a t statistic instead of z statistic. So the first step is more similar to the other one because in this case we want to compare two type of data. mu1 minus mu2 is equal to this difference, or it will not be this difference. So when it is equal to, the opposite will be not equal to, so which will be a two-tailed test. If this one mu1 minus mu2 is less than or equal to the difference, and the opposite will be mu1 minus mu2 will be greater than the difference, so it will showing us the right-tailed test. mu1 minus mu2 is greater than equal to the difference, or it will be less than, so it will be a left-tailed test. So this is more similar to the other one. The level of significance, which we denote with the sign alpha, so you can choose it 5%, depend on you. But normally, when in a specific question, when in a specific trial, they are not mentioned, so you can take level of significance as 0.05%. Test statistic, this is very important because in this formulation, instead of writing the normal standard deviation, we will use a standard deviation called a pooled sample deviation, standard deviation, which we will derive from the pooled sample variance. So in the coming slides, I will also show you that how you will calculate the pooled sample variance. So we will use a formulation in order to calculate this because we are taking to conduct a hypothesis test for two type of tests. So there will be two sample mean and there will be two sample sizes, and then we will calculate the t value. We will calculate this t value, then in the next step, because from the first you will know that what is two-tailed test, because on the basis of alternative hypothesis you will decide that your test is two-tailed test, is it a right-tailed test or is it a left-tailed test. So if it is a two-tailed test, then we will divide this normal distribution in two portions. The acceptance region will be this one because we are not sure that it will be greater than or it will be less than, so that is why we divide that error in two portions. This is plus t alpha by 2 because we divide alpha 0.05 into, and this is the degree of freedom. So my previous lecture I discussed in great detail what is degree of freedom. Minus 2 alpha by 2 degree of freedom. For right-tailed test, so this is for right-tailed test, there is a little bit error occurred because for right-tailed test it will be this one. Okay, this is our plus t alpha, and this is the degree of freedom. This will be the rejected region and this is the accepted region. So this is not the case. Okay, for right-tailed test it will be like this. For left-tailed test, this is our acceptance region and this is minus t alpha and this is degree of freedom. Conclusion, so if the t statistic value, if this value which we have calculated in this, if this value lies in the accepted region, we will accept null hypothesis. If it is lying in the rejected region, we will reject null hypothesis and we will accept our alternative hypothesis. So in order to further clarify the meaning of this, I am just going to discuss a very simple example. For example, two random samples taken independently from normal population within an identical variance yield the following result. So N1 there are two samples which they are taking from a population. N1 is 12, N2 is 18. the average of the first sample is 10, the average of the second sample is 25, the variance of the first sample is 1200, and the variance of the second sample is 900. So basically we derive all this data from the population, and then on the basis of this sample data we will decide that should we need to either accept null hypothesis or reject the null hypothesis. So basically we projecting population on the basis of sample. So test the hypothesis that the true difference between, so this is difference between the population mean is 10, that is mu2 minus mu1 is 10, the difference between two is 10, against the alternative that mu2 minus mu1 is greater than 10, and they already mentioned 5% level of significance. So you need to remember this is equal to, so the opposite should, if they not give you the alternative, it should not be equal to, you will use two tests, but actually they already present that they are sure that this difference will be more than 10. So now we will use a right tail test at the 5% level of significance. So the first step is null and alternative hypothesis. So as you know, mu2 minus mu1 which is given to you is equal to 10, and the alternative will be mu2 minus mu1 which is greater than 10. So basically this represents a two tail test. So because this is the right tail test, so this will be a right tail test. Okay, we will construct a right tail test just like we already constructed this. The second will be level of significance, which is also given into the question, which is 0.05. The third is test statistic. So the formulation for the test statistic is already discussed in the previous slide, x2 minus x1 bar. Doesn't matter if you put x1 minus x2 minus g naught. This is basically the difference. This is the standard deviation of the pole variance. Square root of 1 divided by n1 plus 1 by n2. So now you need to understand how we will calculate the pole variance from the sample data. So you can easily calculate while using this formulation the pole variance, because we will use two type of sample data. So summation x1 minus x1 bar whole square plus summation x2 minus x2 bar whole square divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2. So this is one formulation. You can also use, because we know that x1 bar, we can write this at this way, summation x1 square. This is another formulation. So if you use this formula, the result will be same. Summation x square minus summation x whole square divided by n1 plus summation x2 square minus summation x2 whole square divided by n2 divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2, which is the degree of freedom. You can also write, because in this question we have something given, so we can also use this data, because you know that this thing is equal to, the standard deviation is equal to, the variance is equal to summation x1 minus x1 bar square divided by n1 minus 1. So if you take this on this side, which will be n1 minus 1, s1 square. So this thing, this is called square deviation, this term. This is square deviation. So if you put on this square deviation, you just put this one. So can we put this? Yes, we can put summation x1 minus x1 bar whole square, because variance is this one. This is basically the variance formula. Variance we normally write, as I already show you in the descriptive statistic, that variance can be written as summation x1 minus x1 bar whole square divided by n minus 1 or n1 minus 1. So if we transform this on this side, n1 minus 1, s1 square, this is s1 square is equal to summation x1 minus n. So this deviation is equal to n1 minus 1. So if you put the value of this deviation, square deviation, it will be n1 minus 1 s1 square. Similarly, for this one, we can write for this one, because as you people know, s2 square, this is variance, summation x2 minus x2 whole square divided by n2 minus 1. So you can write this n2 minus 1 s2 square is equal to summation x2 minus x2 whole square. So we can also put this square deviation value, which is n2 minus 1 s2 square. So basically I just put these square deviation value in this formula, and the rest is same, n1 plus n2 minus 2. Okay, so when you take the square root, when you calculate this value, you can easily calculate the standard deviation. So now in order to calculate the pole variance, we will use this formulation. Okay, you can see this n1 minus 1 s1 square plus n2 minus 1 s2 square divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2. So as you know, n1 is 12. So 12 minus 1 is 11 into s1 square. This is s1 square basically. This is s1 square. This is s2 square. This is x1 bar, this is x2 bar. This is our n1 and this is our n2. So we just put these values. S2 square is 900. So we just put 17. N2 minus 1 mean N2 is 18. 18 minus 1 is 17. 17 minus multiply by 900. Divided by N1 is 12 plus 18 minus 2. So when you simplify it, you will get this value. So this is the variance value. When you take the square root of this S square P, you will get the standard deviation, which is called port standard deviation. So port standard deviation is 31.90. Why we calculate? Because we need this value in this formulation. So T is equal to x2 is 25. x2 is 25. Now we want to put the values in this formulation. 25 minus x1 is 10. 10 minus the difference. So the difference is given to you, this one. The difference is given to you, this one. This is D naught. Okay, so we just put this D naught divided by SP, which we have already did some complex calculation for this, which is 31.90. So this is 31.90 into square root of 1 divided by 12 plus 1 divided by 18, as N1 is 12 and N2 is 18. When you simplify it, this is the calculated value of T. Okay, this is T value. So now we have already constructed the calculated value of T. Now we need to construct a critical region. So it is a right tail test from where we know, because it is given in the question. So this is a right tail test. This will be the rejected region and this will be the accepted region. So in my previous slide, as I already show you, you will write this T alpha into degree of freedom. So alpha is 0.05, and how you will calculate degree of freedom? Because we have two sample data. So N1 plus N2 minus 2. Or you can also write this N1 plus N1 minus 1 plus N2 minus 1. So N1 plus N2 minus 2. When you put this value, N1 is 12, N2 is 18, minus 2, it will be 28. So you need to put 28. Now you need to open the student T table. In student T table, we will find the value of 28 degree of freedom against 0.05 level of significance. So now I am just going to open the table. So you can see this is the critical value of the T distribution, because we looking for the degree of freedom 28. So where is 28? You can see this is 28. This is my 28. And the first, this row showing the alpha value. So basically our alpha value is 0.05. If your alpha value is 2.5%, if it is, let's suppose 10%, if it is 15%. So for each level of significance, you can find that value. So basically we are looking for 0.05 and the degree of freedom is 28. So 1.701. So this will be the threshold, this will be the bound of acceptance region and rejected region. This will be the boundary, 1.703. So 1.701 or 3. So basically we get this value from where? From the student T distribution table. So now we will check it. Is the T calculated value lying in the accepted region or it lying in the rejected region? So this will be basically 0, because on this one it will be minus 1, on this one it will be plus 1, this will be 1 plus 1. Okay, so our value is 0.42. So yes, we know that it's lying in this region, and this is still accepted region. When we cross, if this value was 1.42, so still it's in the accepted region. But if, for example, this value was 1.9, so this value will be lying in the rejected region. But our current value is 0.42. So as calculated value of T is equal to 0.242 lies in the accepted region. So we will accept H naught and we will reject our null hypothesis. So when you accept the null hypothesis, means that the difference between mu2 and mu1 is 10. This is correct statement. And the alternative, they say that the difference will be greater than 10. They are wrong on the basis of 5% level of significance. So I hope you understand. Now you need to solve this assignment question from an area planted in one variety of rubber producing plant. 54 plants were selected at random. Of these, 15 were off types and 12 were aberrant. Rubber percentage of these plants were. So now you have two type of data. So how much they select? N1 will be 15, N2 will be 12. Now this is x1 and this is x2. So what you will do? You will write this x1, and so you need to calculate this summation x1 by n1. Okay. Similarly for x2, you will conduct summation x2. So this will be x bar. x2 bar is equal to summation x2 by n2. Similarly, for pole variance, you will calculate summation x1 minus x1 bar whole square plus summation x2 minus x2 bar whole square divided by n1 plus n2 minus 2. So you can easily calculate this x1 1 minus x1 bar whole square. So when you calculate, you need to put that value. Similarly for this x2 minus x2 bar whole square, because you already calculate this and you will put, then you need to take the square root of this pole variance. When you cancel it, you will get this thing, and t will be, because n and n2 less than 30 and all off type and aberrant are independent. So that is why we will use this test. x1 minus x2, these are bar, minus difference SP, this is the pole standard deviation, 1 over n1 plus 1 over n2. So you check it, that is test hypothesis of no difference between mean. So null hypothesis will be mu1 minus mu2 is equal to 0. Alternative will be, because they want to check test the of no difference between mean of population of proper, assume the population of proper is approximately normal and equal. Alternative will be mu1 minus mu2, because they are not given, so it will not be equal to d naughts, or not equal to 0. You can write this not equal to 0. So at the first they say no difference. When it is no difference, it will be mu1 will be equal to mu2. Aberrant will be equal to off type. But if aberrant is not equal to off type, now we need to show this. So you need to construct a two-tailed test for this. This one. So t alpha by 2 degree of freedom minus t alpha by 2 degree of freedom. And degree of freedom, how you will calculate? n1 plus n2 minus 2. So at this way you can easily solve this. Thank you.